Hello guys, how you doing? So it's Sunday, and I know the last video I did, I mentioned about doing a 25 top 25 songs with my brother, like a Zoom video, and we will do that. I'm ready to go, but Don went away. My twin brother Don went away this weekend. I know he's got his list all set up, and I do as well. So. We'll get to it. Probably the next video I do will be with my brother, and we're going to do our 25 favorite AC/DC songs, which will be a lot of fun because that's one of the bands that we grew up with. Another band that I grew up with, I got thinking, how am I going to fill the time and what do I want to talk about this week? And Judas Priest, a band that I count in my top 10. I think I put that number 10 when I listed my 10 favorite bands of all time. And I think that's true still to this day. And Priest were a band that I grew up with, me and my brother, our generation of hard rock and metal people. And Judas Priest were very important to me. We grew up with them, and they remain a band that I listen to. A lot of those old kind of bands that I've always grown up with and stuff. You know, you go through spells where you listen to them all the time, and then you move on to something modern, but they're still around and still matter for a reason. And like Judas Priest, out of all the hard rock bands and stuff, I mean, I'm not going to suggest that Black Sabbath isn't, an important band in the metal genre. Of course they are. But for me, growing up and to this day, thinking back about what mattered most as far as heavy metal music, what that meant is the band that carved out that entire proper heavy metal lane is Judas Priest. And to this day, what's amazing to this day is that they have not strayed from that. They continue to put out quality material after all these years. We're talking 50 plus years easy of making music, and they're amazing. So the new Judas Priest record, Invincible Shield, came out. I guess it's been a couple of months now, and obviously, I received that from Kara. It was a gift. It was an amazing gift. I love it. And, I had to soak it in. And I got thinking about doing a video, that's what this is, to review that album. But I wanted to do it a little different because I see a lot of videos about Invincible Shield, a lot of reviews, and most are pretty stellar and pretty great. And I was excited, and yeah, it didn't disappoint. It's a great record. But when I think about Invincible Shield, and I think about modern Priest, modern Judas Priest, to me, they occupy a space and time that includes a couple of their other records. So that's what this video is about. I wanted to do Invincible Shield. I wanted to do the review, but I wanted to come at it a little bit different. So I decided to do this video based on the last 3 Judas Priest records, which is kind of like their latest or maybe last era of the band, with Richie Faulkner as the one of the guitarists, and talk a little bit about that. But so we're going back a little bit here. So just to backtrack and give some background on how much Judas Priest has been involved in my life. This here was one of the most important and influential records that I ever enjoyed and played a lot of, and it's Screaming for Vengeance. And, this also was a record that I played a lot, Defenders of the Faith, and we grew up with. So, when you look at these records, cool artwork, great musicianship, and cool songs. Priest, even back then, they had this little cool little style they do with their records, and they put like a little saying, even back then on the records. You know, for instance, Screaming for Vengeance has this saying, "From an unknown land and through distant skies came a winged warrior. Nothing remains sacred. No one was safe from the hellion as it uttered its battle cry, screaming for vengeance." And then, you know, Defenders of the Faith had one, and it had on the back, "The Metallion, rising from darkness where hell hath no mercy, and the screams of vengeance echo on forever. Only those who keep the faith shall escape the wrath of the Metallion, master of all metal." So, you know, so much fun and so cool. I mean, for me, Judas Priest is, okay, so what makes them the metal gods? So, you know, Rob's voice, obviously, his screams, his crazy voice, the double guitar of Glenn and KK back in the day, and drums were never a big important sound for Priest for me growing up. They set the tone, and you know, the bass sets the tone, but it was all about the screaming and the Rob's vocal and the double guitar attack, but it was also the songs. And you know, for me, Judas Priest, for me, they're fun. It was fun. It was cartoonish. It was over the top, but it was amazing musicianship, sure. But it's also the songs, very stand up against whatever you're against, stand up for yourself, very sort of, you know, you just want to pump your fist in the car or on the headphones, and you know, yeah, it's this, but it's just this, it's just standing up for yourself, and very kind of pushing back against whatever it is that you perceive pushing you down. That's what they were about. And I'm happy to say that to this day, the best Priest songs to me do the same thing. That's really the truth. So let's review. A lot of years ago, a lot of albums, and after KK Downing, one of the key lead guitar men in the band, leaves the band, which was kind of like unheard of for us back then, but when it happens, people are human and it happens, and KK left the band, and they bring in a young guitar guy named Richie Faulkner. I saw this tour, and their first album with Richie is from 2014, and they released this album called Redeemer of Souls. And they continue with amazing music. This album is very heavy. It's very metal, very kind of like modern classic metal. It has absolutely insane artwork on this record, like really good artwork on this record. You know, we kind of got a taste of Richie in the band, and then they put this record out, and this is a top shelf record for me. It has, in my view, some 10 bell songs. I did a review of each album based on every song. So the 10 bell songs for me on this album are Halls of Valhalla, Down in Flames, Battle Cry, and a surprising one, but I love it. It's the last song on the album, Beginning of the End, which is a slow burn kind of song. They even, with this record, put out this record with amazing artwork throughout, with their classic poem type metal saying that makes you laugh and think, oh my God, this is so cool. And it is this: death, doom, and destruction rain down upon the forsaken. One being stands alone to save humanity, a soldier born from the past on sad wings of destiny, powerful, unflinching, and hearing the eternal force that will proclaim and assert metal's deliverance, the Redeemer of souls. So cool and so fun. That's what Priest has always been for us people. So this here record, I did a review giving out of 10 all of the songs. There's 13 songs on this CD, this record, and it scored 111. So pretty good. Very solid. Great. Some, as I say, some 10 bell songs on that record. So 2018, Priest puts out a very anticipated record called Firepower. Saw this tour as well. There's the poster for it. So they're touring this record. It did very well commercially. Very, very well. During the touring of this record, a couple of years into it, so they're deep into this cycle of this album, Richie Faulkner, the younger of the guys in the band, he goes and has a major heart issue while on stage, basically a heart attack. So, you know, thankfully he survived and he continues to carry on. So let's take a look at this record, Firepower. It's commercially very successful. It's a little bit more simple, I will say. The packaging, it's got this cool artwork. You see the artwork behind me on the poster. It does have a small little saying, forged in conflagration of metal, molten metal fury in Hellion Metallion, a warrior for justice and salvation, ultimate god of firepower, Titanicus. So it's pretty cool, but it's shorter, a little bit more shorter, a little saying and poem, but a really strong album. So let's take a look at this record. This record is a killer record. Like, it's killer. It's got, what do I got here? 6, what I would class as 10 out of 10 songs. Firepower, Lightning Strike, Evil Never Dies, Never the Heroes. So your first 4 songs on this record are just killer. Like, pump your fist in the air, very good songs. It also has Spectre, which I think is a very good song, 10 out of 10. And it also has No Surrender, which is a short song, but a wicked, great, uplifting song. Unfortunately, it has a couple of songs, a few songs on this record where there's a dip. And it doesn't take away from the album. The album is really a strong album. I did the count, did a scale for the songs, and it lands at 113, so just above Redeemer of Souls. Not by a lot, but just above. The big songs, to me, on Firepower are really, really good. And then there's some songs that dip compared to those quite a bit. So, we've got this. Obviously, with what happened with Richie touring, and then, of course, for those of you that follow rock news, Glenn Tipton, the other lead guitar man, Glenn has been getting older and he's been suffering from Parkinson's disease, getting worse and worse and worse. So time goes on, a lot of time goes on for them to see their way through some of these big health challenges. These guys are all getting older. But then in 2024, recently, they bring out this record called Invincible Shield. I mean, Priest is back. Similar kind of look as their other more recent modern records. Okay, Invincible Shield. Here's my review. I did the count. Now there's an extra song because they added some songs. There's 14 tracks on this record. And it lands way higher than the other ones, 121. Why is that? Well, to be honest with you, there's only 4 10-bell songs. Gates of Hell, Trial by Fire, Sons of Thunder and Giants in the Sky that I think are just perfect killer tracks. But a very, very consistent album. No real dips. The sound is pretty solid throughout. The real dip to me is the very last song, The Lodger, on this record. I don't quite understand why bother putting that on there, but they did. It's a very consistent. So we're talking 8s and 9s and some 10s throughout this record. Included in this record is a wicked metal poem I want to read to you guys. United we stand, divided we fall. Defenders of metal, for one and for all. Keeping the faith, honor and pride. Strength in this bloodline, God on our side. Eternal, immortal, metal burns bright. Lifting our horns, ready to fight. Stand and bear witness with all of your might as we raise the invincible shield. So fun. A lot of effort put into this. Look at the artwork, it's just killer. Great artwork. Even the CD is really good. And so, to put it together, Invincible Shield, to me, is the best of the modern era Priest. However, the album that contains the most fun and great songs to repeat and melodic songs and just wicked songs to play is Firepower. Redeemer of Souls has some good songs, some really great songs. It's really a lot more under kind of excuse me, metal kind of record. I will say there's a couple of moments on Invincible Shield that I don't want my Priest to sound like Pantera. I don't want that. I don't want that crunchy sound. I want Priest to sound like Priest. That high register, screaming vocal, pinpoint guitar playing. That's what I want my Priest to sound like. So there's a couple of moments on this I'm like taken aback, like, whoa, 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 let's not go there. And thankfully, overall, they don't. They stick to the Priest sound. And, you know, I gotta say, Priest, they don't get a lot of radio play, obviously, for clear reasons. But they've got so much great music over the years. They are a band that you have to listen to in the car. You have to listen to with headphones. I've seen Priest, I think, 3 times in my life, way back when, and then a couple of times in more modern times. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing them again. They're that good. I mean, they're all getting older here. I mean, you have to, in the modern times with Richie coming on board, and you have to give a lot of credit to a fella named Andy Sneap, who is very, you know, well known in the heavy metal rock genre. And he's been involved in a lot of records, made a lot of records as a producer and a musician. And he participates with the band as a producer and as a touring musician to fill in for Glenn Tipton, who is, you know, he's at the, you know, he's on the last lane of his life, period, let alone as a playing and performing musician. But once in a while he makes an appearance on stage, and what a legacy of music Judas Priest has. And that's my review. So, you know, to recap, Invincible Shield, amazing. It's a amazing record, very consistent, very, very consistent record throughout. Firepower, great highs, lows are a little bit, there's some dips in it, but it's a really strong record. And this Redeemer of Souls is what I believe is an underrated metal record, and, you know, announced Richie back in the band in a big way, or Richie into the band in a big way. Priest, long live the Priest. Thanks, guys. We'll see you again, okay? Bye.